Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist. I'm a doctoral student of psychology, and I also am somebody who used to be avoidant. And my partner, my long-term partner, he also used to be avoidant. And today I wanted to go over a topic that kind of brought up in a conversation I actually had with him. So this is not really patient-oriented, even though I will definitely bring up some traits that my patients show up as well. It's that person that avoidants tend to be very committed to. They are literally like moving mountains for this person. They will go all the lengths that they can for this one particular person. And a lot of avoidants do this. And the reason why I had this conversation, like, it's not the reason why I had the conversation, but I was having a conversation with my partner, and he used to be avoidant, and he healed while in the relationship. And before me, he was single for a very long time by choice, and he wanted that to be his entire life. Like, he never wanted anybody, and he basically avoided relationships, and he was happy that way. He was not miserable, but he mentioned that I don't want to get into too much details of why he, came up to me, asked for my number, etc. That happened, but eventually he mentioned that there were certain aspects that I showed up in the relationship specifically that made him feel like he really just wanted to go to the lengths to make this relationship work and allow it to stay in his life. And I've heard this a lot, and I felt this way too about him as well. But I also hear that in my sessions, like when I'm working with patients, I'll work with them for a while. I actually have one I'm thinking of right now. And we're working on other things. We're not specifically working on attachment issues. Maybe we are, and they're avoiding relationships, and maybe I'm prompting them and they never want to get married, and they, want to be alone forever, or they want to live in the mountains, whatever their story is, or, they just want to live with their trucks and, wildlife, who knows, whatever. I'm making stuff up here, okay? And then they meet somebody, and suddenly or slowly, actually, it's more like slowly, as they build the relationship, they decide, okay, this person, I want to change for them. I want to do everything I can to secure this relationship. And it does not happen. It does not happen overnight, but you can start seeing the first little bits almost immediately. So who is this person? Now, it's different for every avoidant, but I have noticed some similarities based on myself when I was an avoidant and why I chose my partner, why he chose me, and also pretty much all my patients why they chose their partner. And I think this is important because a lot of you guys know, and these are the types of videos that a lot of you guys ask me, and a lot of you guys have also asked me for my personal experience as well as my professional experience. And so I wanted to add that both in for you guys today. And so the very first one, which almost every single avoidant has brought up, this is the person that they will do absolutely anything for. And that is a person that added to their life in a way that they just didn't expect or they didn't have before. Avoidant individuals are really independent. They don't really believe or even expect or even care about another person benefiting them. They feel like they can do it all by themselves, and they probably can. But when a person adds to them in a way they maybe didn't think possible, whether it's adding that softness to their life or adding that stability, that consistency, that comfort, companionship, and it's not in a way where it's stressful, it's not in a way where it's forceful, it's just natural, it's calm, it's not demanding. It feels so natural. Avoidant individuals don't want to lose that. Avoidant individuals are very uncomfortable with uncertainty in certain areas because a lot of them have control issues and I used to have control issues like with this specific stuff. Like, I remember part of the reason I avoided relationships is because when you feel a lot of emotions for someone, you lose control of your emotions, and that made me feel weak, and I didn't like that feeling. And so I would rather avoid that so that I wouldn't have to face that I have weaknesses. I know it sounds so like it's embarrassing to admit out loud, but it's true. And my partner had the exact same feeling. But because we were able to integrate into our relationship very calm, and it wasn't fast, and it wasn't pressured, and it wasn't expecting, probably because we both had those attachment wounds, we were able to feel that, okay, this is actually not that bad. Like, it's not that pressuring. It's not that demanding. It's not scary. It's not overwhelming. It's not frustrating. It's not annoying. It's okay. It's nice. It's actually better than okay. Maybe this is okay to keep. And I hear this a lot with avoidant individuals when I'm working with them. A lot of them don't say, oh, I chose my partner because, when they're gone, I long for them and my heart aches, or, I feel like I can't live without them. No, that's not how avoidants love. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. Maybe that's how anxious preoccupied loves, which is great, but avoidants don't love like that. They love you because you're safe, you're warm, you're kind, you're gentle, you're soft, you're appreciative, you're amazing. And that's how it feels. I don't know how to word it, but you add to their life. You don't minus it. You don't make it too explosive. You don't make it extreme. You make it life but better. And that is the person that avoidance will do anything for, okay? The next one is the one who supported them emotionally instead of knocking them down. Maybe they had a low moment. Maybe they made a mistake. Maybe they did run away from commitment a little bit. Maybe they were stubborn in the beginning. But instead of you knocking them down and saying, hey, you're detached, you're mentally ill, you're crazy, whatever people say, you said, I appreciate that, I appreciate who you are. I want you to be more responsive to me, but I understand that relationships can be challenging and nobody's perfect. You supported them. You made them feel understood. You made them feel like it's okay to be who they are, and you were there for them, and you didn't leave them, which is very important. I'm not saying for you to stay. You guys deserve to get what you want. But I am just sharing this because this is so common. This is one of the most common things that's brought up in my sessions when an avoidant individual admits that they're loving somebody or they're going to do everything for this person. This is one of the more common ones, right? The next one is, this one is pretty specific. And I would say most of these are more specific to dismissive avoidance or fearful leaning dismissive. But this one I'm about to say, actually, no, it's for both fearful and dismissive, but I guess they perceive it differently. So for a fearful avoidant, well, let me say what it is first. The person that they'll move mountains for is that person who wasn't scared of their triggers and saw past them. So let me explain it. For a fearful avoidant, it makes them feel loved, like if they make a mistake, you're not going to leave them. That's how it feels for a fearful avoidant, right? Maybe they crashed out. Maybe they said something they didn't mean and you still didn't leave them. Maybe you were solid and you weren't, angry, or you didn't leave them or whatever. They feel like they can make mistakes. They don't have to be perfect for you to stay. That's how a fearful avoidant typically feels. And if anyone's a fearful avoidant, if you want to add more information on that, please do so, because I'm definitely much more well equipped with dismissive avoidance. A lot of you guys know that comparison to fearful avoidance, so please correct me if I'm wrong. But for a dismissive avoidant, it feels like you didn't overreact when they were having their reaction or whatever. Like maybe they crashed out and said, oh, I can't give you what you want. That's the line, right? Y'all know every dismissive avoidant has said that, I think. I'm guilty as charged. I remember, it's just the way it is, right? Every dismissive avoidant has mentioned that before. I can't give you what you want, right? And, if you say, yeah, actually, I think you can, I get what you're saying, or, whatever your version is, like, you don't know what I want. That's not the case. I don't want you to speak for me. Whatever your version of it is, even if it's argumentative, I don't care. The point is that you were not, hurt by it. You were not crashing out. You were not angry. You didn't react. You still acted level-headed, and dismissive avoidance just really feel like they can calm down and realize, okay, maybe I was the one reacting kind of like not so good. I want to calm down. You're right. I overreacted, right? It helps them to feel really grounded, and it makes them feel like their fears and like uncomfort with commitment is kind of exaggerated. I don't know how to explain that, but it's like, maybe it's not that bad. Like maybe it's not like the end of the world that, they can't change right away or they're not compatible. They start realizing like love is more flexible and it's not rigid, and it doesn't mean they're going to have to change right away, because that's what avoidants think, right? I'm going to have to change right away. I'm going to have to give up my independence. So why would I love anybody? I don't want to give that up. I work so hard to preserve it. Now I got to give it up. But when you're not scared of their triggers, you're basically saying like, you can be yourself and I'm not terrified of it. I'm not going to make you change because I can't handle it. And I'm not saying you have to stay. I'm not saying that, but I am saying this is a really common one with avoidance, okay? And the last one is probably one that a lot of you guys will not like, but I'm just honest with you. I never lie on my videos. I always want you guys to have the truth. And this one is true, but it's not everyone's favorite one. But I'm just here to tell you the truth, okay? the person that an avoidant will like move mountains for and do everything for is usually the one they've been with for a long time, just simply because you're the one that was there and it's easier and it's comfortable and they know you. Like that's what it is. So the longer you're with an avoidant, the more likely they're going to change or they're gonna do everything for you because you're there for them. And avoidant individuals perceive that consistency as value for the relationship. So I hope that makes sense. So those are 4 of the many reasons. There are many, but I'm just going to leave that for today, of the traits of a person that avoidants move mountains and do absolutely anything for, okay? So please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.